Airbnb right now in Dubai is absolutely crazy. People don't know what's happening next, when the war is going to end, and what the long-term effects is going to be on Dubai. But right now what's happening is the war is exposing who built the real business and who was just riding momentum. Because most people in the Airbnb market weren't actually building something sustainable. They had no contingency plan, no backup, and never expected anything like this to happen. So you could even say most people just wanted to look like a business owner. But as a business owner, the real test doesn't start when the market is slow, uncertainty hits, and panic starts. People start leaving the market, like what's happening now. There's so many people leaving the market, dropping their deals, terminating their contracts early and paying penalties. This video is about what I'm doing over the next 6 months to protect my Airbnb business in Dubai. Not just operationally, but mentally as well. Because one thing's for sure, if your mindset goes, your business is going to go as well. It's as simple as that. If you're not sharp and locked in mentally, your business can't perform well. Anyone can look like a genius in a good market. But the real question is, what happens when things get uncomfortable? So the current situation in Dubai is crazy right now. People are leaving the market, people are exiting their contracts early, paying penalties, and the war in Iran has just had a massive effect. There's missiles being launched. The hospitality and tourism sector has taken a big hit because at the minute, there's flights being cancelled, even some countries stopping flights going to Dubai directly. And as a result, the Airbnb market has suffered. On top of the fact that it happened in one of the worst times, during Ramadan, which is a slow period in itself, and going into the summer period, which in general is very slow and hard to even make any money. This is the part that gurus and people online don't talk about when they're trying to sell you the dream that Airbnb and rent is simple. It's not. Simple as. And the thing about it is that people love talking about their revenue in peak season. I'm also guilty for it. I'll show people my revenue during the peak season, but I also am very open about how hard the low season is because I actually started during the low season and I lost money for the first few months of the business. I only started making profit back when the high season came along. So I try to be as real as possible on social media rather than sugarcoating things and just saying we made $100,000 this month. Very few people are actually talking about what's going on in Dubai and the effects it'll have on the long-term Airbnb market. Like I just said, most people did not plan for this. They had nothing set in stone like a contingency plan or even a backup for what they do in a situation like this. Because to put it bluntly, if you don't plan for the low points like now, if you don't have anything set in place to be able to survive, the high points don't matter. The profits, the revenue, it doesn't matter if all of that's going to be eaten up in times like now. I'd say the vast majority of operators in Dubai built their businesses based off of, people on Instagram, on YouTube, thinking it was easy. And they built it assuming times would be good forever. That's not a business model. That's just hope. And businesses don't run on hope. You can have all the hope you want in the world, but if you don't have the right plan and systems and strategy in place, you're never going to survive. This is why planning matters. The big operators weren't waiting for a disaster to happen. It definitely came as a shock for the vast majority of people. But the big operators and the one that actually built real businesses, they had a contingency plan in place. And that's what keeps emotions out of business decisions. Because if you don't have a plan, every problem feels 10 times bigger. If you don't have at least a loose plan in place for what would happen in a situation like now, every single problem that will happen is going to feel like a nightmare. You're never going to get through it. You're never going to be able to see rationally past your emotions to be able to make the right decision at the right time. And that's what I'm seeing right now in Dubai. Most operators are leading with their emotions. And I get it. Emotions are high right now. Most people have never expected anything like this to happen and the business to come crashing down. But once you can separate your rational mind between your emotional mind, that's when you'll make the right decisions. When you already have a set game plan, you'll be able to move more calmly. I'm going to be honest, planning for these things is not a great thing to hear because you don't ever expect it to happen. But having a plan in place isn't a negative thing. It's just that you want to stay in control when everyone else loses their mind. So here's step one of my actual plan of how I'm going to be protecting my Airbnb business over the next 6 months. Step one is protecting cash immediately. We need as much cash reserves as possible to get us through the next couple of months, as cash flow is going to be very tight. We're definitely not going to be making any profits. And like I said, in general, it's a really slow period during the summer in Dubai. So we've completely cut out any personal unnecessary spending. It doesn't get us anywhere towards our goals right now. So we don't need to be splashing money on ridiculous things, on unnecessary things, unless it's essential for business growth. Everything in my life is getting reviewed right now. Lifestyle spending, subscriptions, random spending, delayed purchases, everything is being reviewed, and I'll make a decision whether this is necessary or not. Because the more cash you can preserve and use to get you through, the more time and options that you have. A lot of people will go broke during this period because they're still trying to maintain a lifestyle that they had previously when times are good. Renting out villas, luxury cars, all of this. They still have to maintain that. And that's how they're going to go broke. One of the worst things you can do in this period is pretend that you're still living in peak season. It's just not sustainable. Step 2 is I'm going to review everything and don't get emotional. This is very important because we need to look at our portfolio very strategically and emotion-free. Even though there's a principle called the sunk cost fallacy. And essentially, what we're going to be doing is using that fallacy to review our portfolio. Even if we spend a lot of money on the unit, to get it up and running, to get it furnished, we need to make sure it actually makes sense to keep on, rather than just using our emotions because so much money was invested. Does this make sense to keep on over the next 5 to 6 months? Because whether we like it or not every property deserves to stay. There's some properties that we've reviewed that have performed poorly over the space of the year. What is the point of keeping them? It makes no sense. Emotion will tie us to this property. Rational decisions will make us drop them for the growth of the business. So I'm going to be looking at every single unit strategically, looking at the revenue, looking at the occupancy, and looking at the operational costs and profitability of what it made us over the last year. Based on that, I'll separate the top performers from the dead weight. And if something is dragging the business down, it needs to go. It's cutthroat. Step 3 is we're going to stop chasing growth just for the sake of it. Like I said in the first point, cash reserves is essential right now. If we can't preserve as much cash as possible, we won't be able to get through this time. So it's more important to protect our cash reserves rather than expand. This is not a period to go aggressive on expansion. People will look at the opportunities that arise, and I understand with many that will be coming up, but there's a time and place for that. Protect yourself first and then look at growing. Too many people, including myself, got addicted to scaling their business and growing to make more revenue and make more profit. But right now is not the time to do that. The goal is business stability. If you stay alive and survive this period, you'll win later. Step 4, and this is a very important one, lean into stronger markets. We have units in the UK, and the day this war started, I set up our LLC in the US. So there are 2 markets that we're going to be looking at strategically to scale in over the next 6 months. One of the smartest things I've done is not relying on one market and one strategy. We're going to be implementing different property strategies and looking at different markets where we can scale and make a positive cash flow throughout the summer to keep us afloat. Dubai might slow down, but there's many other markets that are going to be booming during the summer, such as the UK and the US. If they are stronger seasonally, that's where we're going to put our attention into. Some cash reserves will be used and injected into those businesses to grow there, so we can utilize the positive cash flow to keep us afloat and also slowly grow our business in those markets. Step 5, we're going to be negotiating and not just accepting pressure. An essential point right now is to be able to negotiate with landlords and use the leverage that you have. As Airbnb operators that are doing rent to rent, we're stressed out. There's no revenue coming in, but landlords also have bills to pay. A lot of these have mortgages that they have to pay. If we leave the property, nobody is signing long-term leases in Dubai. So we have some leverage and wiggle room to at least negotiate. Now, I'm not just saying just leave your landlord high and dry, but use the leverage that you have to negotiate a better deal for yourself, where you can keep the relationship intact, but also protect yourself at all costs. The things I'm looking at is revenue share model firstly. I've proposed this to a current landlord and we've already gotten approved for that. It basically means we can still earn some revenue without having the responsibilities of the bills, the rent, and everything else. And the landlord can also earn some revenue while the property is sitting vacant. It's a win-win for everybody. I'm also looking for temporary rent reductions, monthly payments rather than paying 3 or 4 checks at a time, and flexible exits if needed. Rather than us paying a termination or penalty fee, we're looking for an early release without any of those penalties. The truth is, most landlords would rather keep a good tenant than deal with the vacancies that come with this. So those are the main steps I'm taking over the next couple of months to make sure my Airbnb business survives and then thrives when everything is back to normal. Business is not just built in the highs. You need to be able to understand that this is what comes with business. There's going to be lows, there's going to be highs. We need to be able to navigate in any season of business. This period is really going to expose a lot of people, and it already has. Like I said, many people have exited the leases, left the business completely. They probably won't even do business again because they're so scared from this, without understanding that this is all part of the process. You can't have highs without lows. It's as simple as. Because hard seasons is where the real operators are made. Anybody can post wins when things are going good, but the true character of an entrepreneur shows up when they get uncomfortable. I'm not saying that the market is easy. I'm not by any means saying that a lot of people are not going to get knocked out of the market. What I'm saying is this is what real business looks like. And most people weren't prepared for this. And as a result, they're not going to survive. This is why you need contingency plans. This is why you need cash reserves. And this is why you need emotional control. If you build your business properly, you'll be able to survive these. Bad periods don't destroy it. They just force you to adapt and tighten up your systems. The goal right now is to not look good online. It's to make sure that we survive and thrive when everything comes back to normal. If you're in the Airbnb space, specifically in Dubai, and you want more breakdowns and more information, you can hit the subscribe button and comment down below on what your plan is over the next 6 months to survive. I'll see you in the next video.